Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge and space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GANs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MEGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others. That they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GANs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GANs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates megrav fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GANs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GANs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 173rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 25th, 2017. Once again, we are honored to have Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute with us to tell us the latest about the announcements and activities of the Keshe Foundation. And Mr. Keshe has been busy the last couple of days with, he's done two-hour interviews with Carrie Cassidy of Project Camelot and with Sean McGuire in Ireland, and very successful interviews, I would say. So, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today's activities?
Yes, good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this knowledge seekers programs. Thank you very much, Rick, and thank you, the whole Keshe Foundation team in the background. As Rick mentioned, we have been busy, these interviews and the rest of it, which is happening across Ghana and is filtered into other countries in Africa, is the opening and building of the Spaceship Institute. We have had meeting with government officials, ministers, and the rest to finally bring the whole thing to the first cleaning up of the land in the next few, maybe maximum 10 days or next week, whenever the security apparatus allows us to enter the land. And as we see, Ghana is the first step. Other nations have asked if we can collaborate to expand this knowledge, and we have responded positively. Next week, 2 weeks, we'll be busy in the next few weeks, not only supporting Ghana, but other countries by direct negotiations or by traveling to the countries in short term and coming back again to Accra till we see the establishment of the building. The beauty of it is a lot of people have a lot of questions to ask. One of the main questions, how come so simple? How come even scientists at the high level in governments, they cannot believe so easily has been achieved? And the biggest shock some of the people have at the high level offices, as one guy said, one of the ministers very recently, how come Atomic has been hiding such a big technology inside that even the governments at certain levels are not informed of? This is the beauty of reaching public in this way. We did our job, Keshe Foundation supporters and people who listen to these programs, being aware of what's going on, and now the extensive what we call exposure on the television channels, especially in past 2 or 3 days, live interviews and everything else that has brought the Keshe Foundation in a new direction. But as part of our work, we've been busy in establishing the Space Center, teaching, and the rest. At the same time, part of work of the Keshe Foundation in the background has been exposed, and this is the price of the what I do and part of the Keshe Foundation team does in the background is in supporting, feeding, nourishing, encouraging peace. In what was disclosed in the past 2 interviews and the further interviews has shocked the Vatican. We've been told a number of the European countries have listened, and there is a huge concern in what has been exposed in these interviews. It was supposed to be hidden, but as we were the main supporters and providers of correct information, could not be hidden. As a lot of us know, to create peace needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of endeavor in the unknown territory of peace, because man's habit has been to find solution with war. Man's habit has been to find a solution in conflict. As in one of the interviews we said, the religions have come to become non-existent. As we've seen now, every one of them in the interviews in the past few weeks is involved in one way or another on the name of the God to create mayhem. We leave this in the hand of the politicians. We leave this in the hand of those who understand how to handle it. I have become a great believer, not just by talk, but understanding the reality that the world is a safer place, much, much safer place, with the leaderships of what we call true leaders who understand justice, who understand correct conduct, who understand how it has to be done. And this is important for us as Keshe Foundation. I find a great solace in knowing and understanding the true leadership has shown itself in the world peace arena. We've seen it in the management of the world peace, in solving the problem by negotiation and by very much wisdom. We've seen it coming out of the Chinese leadership. What has happened in China, what we've seen was planned to be done to China in the coming month. You could have had a reaction like we've seen before. Take it to United Nations and wrap it up. and do something and fight and cajole. We've seen the leadership in China has chosen diplomacy, but in a very correct way. Who does wrong has to stand for it. There's going to be immense pressure on the European community and American government to follow the new path. You have to understand, if you remember 2 years ago, we didn't like it, we bombed it. High-level bombing from Yugoslavia became a fashion to succeed to do. But we've seen that new way. We negotiate, we expose, at the same time, we serve punishment in a very, very drastic way. If you mismanage, your management term is over. And we've seen the mismanagement, the stealing of technology. When we said they've been trying to steal technology from Keshe Foundation and they made us terrorists and the rest of it, now the same people, the same group have been exposed, that they've been in it, at it, with it, in a very large scale. We took a great risk to push the peace forward. I relied on the wisdom of the Chinese community and the leadership to appropriately use the information which was given to them. When we announced the involvement of what it was to happen in the autumn and fall of next year in China, is not something we made up. One of the leading negotiators in the meeting in China, which was supposed to happen, is one of the Keshe Foundation directors. We are well established within the structure of the Vatican. We are well established within the other organizations because our members are peaceful members. The way it was planned to execute to bring mayhem to China is not a theory, because one of our directors was at the seat of negotiation. Not negotiating to create, but as part of the organizers, he listened what was the main plan behind the visit. This was exposed by us because we do not see any need for war and mayhem. We are not giving second-hand information. It's the first-hand directly from Keshe Foundation Board of Directors. These things have to stop. We are well rooted amongst the world religious elite because of our peace, and a lot of world leaders want that peace. And the decision has been made that we push through peace from now on with negotiation and no more war. And we've seen it with the excellent handling of President Xi. The plan, we saw revolutions in Iran 30, 40 years ago in the background and advanced to be benefited by, well organized by, is over. We've seen a collaboration of two world leaders, close collaboration, President Xi and President Trump, in not going out and bombing, but going out to negotiate and serve what is needed to be served, that they understand. You got to realize, if you create mayhem in China, it's 1.7 billion. It's the population of the United States, the whole of Western Europe, plus most of Africa and the rest. That's the population of one nation. You cannot cause mayhem in one nation this way. The wisdom was, the negotiation was, and it's not that, as we said before, we've been there, we are instrumental in work of peace. How it comes to us is because of our ethos. How it comes to us is because we believe in peace through science and technology. I thank all the intermediaries between us and Vatican, between us and the Jewish community, especially those in Tel Aviv who support our peace. I thank the Islamic world religious leaders who continuously feed us with the information that it brings peace to humanity. Without them, the structure of the security of Keshe Foundation does not function so perfect. I thank those monsignors in Vatican who support us heavily. I thank those in Jewish background in Tel Aviv, in New York, who support the movement of peace by Keshe Foundation. I thank the Islamic groups who are closely negotiating for peace to collaborate with us and collaborating in a way of providing so much information on the peace level. This is how it should be. Because, as they say, It's time to move on. We killed enough, we destroyed enough. As one of my directors in the meeting told me, the plan is so huge, I don't even want to think about it. Discrediting China, pressurizing China is the big plan. The visit is just a makeup. These things should not happen anymore. Those of you who work around the foundation with the position of intelligence, of understanding world is a huge place for all of us to exist, have to understand the world is a huge place to live if it's peaceful. Otherwise it becomes a very small place. I thank my board of directors. I thank the total external board of directors which work with Keshe Foundation and international, the ministers, the politicians, the head of states who continuously feed us with the correct information to encourage peace. Those who made mistake and deliberately went to destroy have to understand it's time to end. We know, and you have been listening, and I've been telling you, the time has come for one kingship to finish, because we have the information in the background and we know what is on the way to come. A king has to be look after his nation and the nations next door. This is how the Iranian Romans ran the empires those days. No war, becoming one. And we have to go back to the same ethos. Without peace, there is no planet. And this will carry on. We release huge amount of intelligence to governments for application and understanding of the peace and the way we want it. I respect and honor the way President Trump has taken the knowledge very, very wisely across Europe, across Middle East, without going out, trying to keep it very serene, but at the same time executing what has got to be done. You cannot steal from other nations and sell it to others. This is what we said the head of European State Agency has done to us. Now we see it on the international level. They think it's their right to steal. It's the habit of a nation. We have to stop it. And the only thing is to change the structure of the nation, that there is no guarantees for those who are in this kind of work can exist. On the other hand, we have to carry on. We have to forge ahead with the work of peace. The work of peace comes by intelligence, by teaching more and more. I know, and I have to thank those in Vatican who closely operate with us. And I have to thank them. Without the intelligence they brought us, it was impossible to divert one of the biggest revolution catastrophes in the modern time. It would have opened the third wall, internally, mayhem, and the rest of it. This way is avoided. Openness, understanding what was planned. You have to understand these things was planned 3 to 5 years ahead. It's not yesterday. These billions of dollars have been put in position to finance, and now is in ruins. Is in ruins for the best results for humanity. And the beauty of it is, the teaching like this, who brings so many people on the table to learn, it brings so many people across the world to understand what the Keshe Foundation is about. And it gives us a platform like Kerry Cassidy's and the others, where the international media has been told not to put anything out about Keshe Foundation, bring the technology, the knowledge under the ground, where the world leaders listen, they understand what's happening. The beauty with this work we are doing is that we are changing the soul of the man. We have many royal families who do not want to be royal anymore because they've seen the misconduct of the name, the structure they belong to. We've seen the breakthrough with Wim de Grave, how he provided us as somebody close to the royal family of Belgium with the intelligence for some time, which allowed us to look into the misconduct. These are the people who work with the foundation because they have the same aim. We receive knowledge on the back of that will be used for the peace, and we guarantee we ensure those who are in a position of power, who want to see the structure of the peace, we respect you, we keep your intelligence, and we tell you how we are going to use it, that is to the benefit of mankind. We have avoided one of the major catastrophic conditions which was about to be created. Second World War would have been nothing compared to what it was about to set up. Maybe it's time we go back to what we said. In light of the visit to Vatican, it's time that the stones of Vatican go back to Colosseum. It's been a huge risk of my life to disclose this, but it was worth it, because if it stops millions of people to be displaced, to become homeless, to become not knowing when is the next tomorrow on the table to eat, out of these misconducts of the world leaders on the name of religion, you do not understand. I've been through it. I went through 30 years of Iranian revolution. Not knowing is your father alive, not knowing your mother is alive, and everything else. It's an honor for Keshe Foundation to disclose the misconduct of Vatican, Jerusalem, and Islamic world all together. Now is a big cult. Religion is just money making. My announcement goes to Vatican. Pope, step down. The term of Christ is over. That's your punishment you received. This is the end of Christianity, as Christ was a messenger of peace, and you have brought nothing but disgrace to humanity by organizing crimes. The same goes to the house of Jerusalem. It's the end of the term for Judaism, as your misconduct and bloodshed has brought shame to humanity over centuries. My call goes to the Islamic world. The term of Muhammad has finished. It's time to unite as a human race. Doesn't matter where you are, in Jerusalem, in Mecca, and Vatican is a man-made city for crime. Does not exist. Unification of religion doesn't come by talking. Unification of religion comes by abolishing the whole of the religious structure which has brought so much pain to humanity. My wish is my command. If it has been hard for you to hear what your path of belief you believed in now has come to nothing, it has come to something. It's come to bring you to understand there is a need for peace, and there is all one thing, one nation, one planet, one race. We enforce peace through disclosures, we enforce peace through knowledge of understanding. If you noticed in the past 2 interviews, we start teaching directly how people can help themselves with the medical application, because this is where the people need to be. We encourage and we go through these kind of teachings, especially health teachings, on mass media from now on. You saw how in the interview yesterday, again as we taught here, we taught how to help the children. Step by step, we showed diabetic. Step by step, we showed how to do high blood pressure. Through the health, we changed the course of humanity, because all of us get touched by it. I thank the whole of the health section of the Keshe Foundation, especially Klaus, Dr. Rodriguez, Azar, and many, many others who are working in the background. We have to be able to translate the knowledge of the technology into the knowledge of health, into the knowledge of peace, and with it into knowledge of understanding the totality. Many people will understand the technology when they apply it to their health. This is the way the foundation will work. This is the way foundation will support itself through the structure. Be open. Do not talk about the Magrav units and the others. Show people, make leaflets, go out, Keshe Foundation, try this. Give them the hand leaflet, how to overcome by yourself at home. Just give them the link. We try to put segments. You come, you click, high blood pressure. This is the instruction we see. How to make nanomaterials, how to make GANs, how to apply it that you can get rid of blood pressure. Diabetic, everything else. We start making columns for health. This is our vision. People will try, more and more people will come. But when we put that, we get the front screen on our computers or whatever. Please sign a peace treaty before you apply. You contract yourself to peace by using the knowledge. This is what you're going to see very soon on the face of Keshe Foundation websites. Free health in exchange for peace. And you find out those who will not and come back and say it doesn't work are those who broke the peace treaty. The soul will not accept as a line to their own existence. In the teaching and the conferences and the broadcast in past few days, we explain and we exposed a lot in respect how we have found out the people who claim to be doing so much for Keshe Foundation were taking much more life of young people. We've seen how as webmasters now has been exposed to us, but security people of the American intelligence have been using our websites as they're serving to write books and patterns, have been stealing the name of children or people or sharing with pedophiles. We don't discuss. We have taken action, and in the coming days, warrant for arrest will be issued, warrant for court appearances will be issued through international courts. Now we have enough evidence. We have found all the documents when we told you we were shot at in Antwerp and they went disappearing. All has been and will be handed to international police. They have to judge. When we told you we received harassment of being killed, we have found these are all police documents which has been hidden. All has been found and it will be released accordingly. And the international police is very interested to know how gunmen can go unreleased at the police station. There is a huge exposure of misconduct of the police by the police forces. There has been a lot of huge exposures will come out. All the documents have been found, has been transferred to the legal sections. And ambassadors and embassies are becoming aware. This is how, when you're correct, the time comes. We had to come to this point to see it. We have found documents which dictates and indicates directly that those who claim to be writing about the facts about me were themselves handling, signing on behalf of the Keshe Foundation health equipment. It's their own signature. Now they will call to the court for it. We have found documents in hospitals which matches each other for double poisoning with arsenic. And one man has been in both cases aware of it. We stood a lot, we stand a lot, and this is the beginning of going through a peace process. It makes me angry to see how we trusted one of the biggest pedophiles in the world to be sitting next to us and eating with us. Now, as was written on one of the channels in Africa, I have helped to write the 3 books. I have helped to do the pattern. But what the American officials say says, he forgot to write. I was the webmaster too. I had access to all the children. Now we understand why has been so much anger in past year once we took Alan Sterling out. They were both webmasters of their own webs. They could control the traffic. The Keshe Foundation was a lucrative business. That's why they never asked for payment, because they were getting paid by stealing information on the internet from the Keshe Foundation servers. The biggest pedophile is on the run. Good morning, Mr. Dirk. American security have exposed you. Our webmasters, you have to be exposed your work. Very interesting. We'll respond accordingly. When we open the court warrants, we'll put it directly to you. Please appear in court, and then we submit. Part of the teaching has been how we can help. Part of the teaching has been where has been a misunderstanding that we have to correct. Part of the teaching has been to understand more. You got to realize something. When we went and exposed Alan Sterling, he wrote worse than Dirk did, if you remember. But when the judge was taken out, which was his support, he walked in, he knew he had no support. The same shall be with Dirk. His bosses are walking in. We will see the meeting in Belgium in the next few hours, where the king and the prime minister, which will be told, you have stolen, you make a decision. And the report will go directly into NATO. When we take his backers out, the child will cry. I am innocent. At least it's for the peace of the world. We bring peace in the front and we bring peace through misconducts of the man. You got to realize, in past 2 months, we bombarded European Space Agency with the misconduct of Mr. Hans Brackenier. We have not heard a single thing. No warrants, no accusations, nothing that they take us to court with it because they know we have it. Do you remember I directly addressed Mr. Hans Brackenier? We have sent huge amount of emails to every directors of the space agency and other governments. Even he's received his own, no response. You remember when we wrote in the book, the 3rd book, about the man in England, Mr. Hawking, in the book, 2009, we sent him a copy with a letter, accused him of stealing. 8 years he has not responded, because he knows. The same goes with this lot. I thank the whole of Keshe Foundation supporting of being here, supporting us, and in so many ways over years going through ups and downs. But we have reached, the threshold has come. There is one thing which I keep on repeating, and it has to be understood why I repeat. The man of peace have taken control over the conduct of this planet. That was the wish of the Universal Council, and that was the wish of the Earth Council, and we see it gradually coming to flourish. My wish was the end of the kingship, and we have seen, as I explained before, in March, the abdication of the Emperor of Japan. Beginning of the cycle in peace has to be. It is important for us to understand these are not coincidental, but has come out of the wish of humanity. We escape borders to stay alive. Now we let them escape their own borders to stay alive within their soul. It's important for us to be able to understand how we are and what we have to do. We have to strengthen the teaching in a very deep way. We have to be able to adjust the teaching that more people can follow the understanding. We have to adjust the totality of the understanding that everybody more or less catches up. There are some confusion and there are some misunderstanding and there is some problems that we has to be cleared. One of the things which I go back to the beginning, as we see people don't understand, be correct. Many of you use acoustic to produce nanomaterials. And then you take your nanoplates and you produce CO2 or zinc oxide or whatever. There is a flow with all of you, a lot of people, between the two processes. This has to be corrected. When you take a nanoplated copper or anything you put in acoustic, even the food which you put in acoustic, that you produce cans of something, wash your plates thoroughly. Wash your wires thoroughly. Wash your ganses which you produced, nanomaterials you produced, which came in touch with caustic thoroughly. Because if you don't do, you take the material and you start creating CO2, you create a cross-contamination of creating toxic. There are different ways to neutralize it. When you washed it, to make sure you have not carrying any other things from caustic. The suggestions from our scientific team and the others are different approaches how to neutralize. Using lemon juice, using other things which neutralizes caustic is one approach. Using simpler way to make sure you don't bring cross-contamination is the cornerstones of end product to be correct. We've seen some Germans who have actually produced the material, they tested it, they said there is something wrong. When we asked the process, yeah, we don't wash the caustics off the plates, you carry it forward. Please make sure anytime you come in touch from one process to another, you understand fully. Even with your salt, when you're washing the ganses, make sure you don't carry any salt to the next step. It affects your process. We have, through measurements, now understand that a lot of you make paint pens and you put all sorts of coils in it. The more coils you put in it, the less effective the system becomes to become alkalizer. The tests we've done in atomic data, scientific data tested with machinery and other system 2-3 times to confirm, is that when you put a copper coil inside the liquid of the GANs, you reduce the alkaliness by up to 1 point. From now on, when you produce paint pens, use the GANs direct in the glass, in your center pin. You reach 1 point extra. If you're 8.3, you become 9.3. The reason is understandable, because the pen absorbs some of the fields back to itself, so its efficiency is from alkalineness is different. So for those of you who start making the pens, please make the pens in a slightly different way. You don't need to make in so many ways what we call fancy pens. Make these pens in a way that you can understand how it works, understand the principle behind it, and allow it to work. Then, by content of what you put in the liquid, increases or reduces the what we call alkalineness. Other points which we have to learn, as many of you are using different kind of gases, is to understand how it operates, what it does, and the way it does. What is the reason behind many reactions? We received a question from the medical people past couple of days. Can you explain the work of the breathing systems? How does the breathing system work? I tried the time I had to join the health section and explain it to the doctors. But many of you are building these breathing units. What's the logic behind it? What does it do? How does it work? You understood part of the operation. Now it's time to expand a little bit more into the knowledge. We taught it to what we call our knowledgeable doctors in the teaching yesterday, but it has to be shared by all of us because a lot of you are doing it. When you are making a breathing unit, when you are making a water unit, when you are making hatch units or environmental systems, make sure that all your systems are tuned to the same level. What it means, if you are making your breathing system 80% zinc oxide and 20% carbon, CO2, your drinking water has to be the same. Your patches has to be the same. If not, you create a conflict in the fields in the body of the man. So when you make a system for breathing, you make a system for drinking, and you make a system for the surrounding, you have to make sure all your systems are the same in fine-tuning. Make one gas, and from that gas mixture, feed everything. I've taught this many times to harmonize. So make everything for everything and then fill up. Don't do one by one. This is how we should be. This is how it should be. Do not make different gases for different things. When you set up to do a job, especially using mixture of breathing and water and environment, make sure you get a continuity. This is important. When you take the breathing system, understand what the breathing system does. The air you breathe in, because of the zinc oxide, carries the strength of the motion of the man, the emotion, the feeling, which itself feeds into the soul of the man. The higher strength level which are needed for the soul is taken by the soul when the emotion is fed the correct way. It's not a one-way system that you continuously take from the soul. You have to feed the soul. It's very much like the rain on the surface of this planet. Raindrops does not come down. It goes up from the surface of the oceans as a vapor up and rains back down. If it doesn't rain down, there is no ocean. When you feed your emotion, the surplus, what is needed, will be taken by the soul. Soul is a living entity. It needs to be fed as long as it feeds. In so many times, in so many teachings, we explain this. If you understand how the structure of the brain works, when you breathe, you allow certain amount of energy to be absorbed by the lung itself. The structure of the lung is a motor system for the control not of only the air, but the amount of energy is taken by the brain and the soul. Is a pump of the brain, is the pump of the soul. Air is connected to the amino acid structure of the brain of the man. The rhythm of the breathing, in conjunction with the rhythm of the heart, creates a condition for the brain of the man to absorb energy from the environment of his surroundings. If it has been a puzzle to the world of medicine and to the man, that where the nourishment and the energy comes to the brain of the man without any blood vessels, now the man understands. The heart rhythm, which is part of the feeding of the physicality of the emotion of the man, in conjunction with the collector of the energy from the environment, which is the lung of the man, creates a pumping structure for the brain above it to be able to absorb energy from the environment of his living. The heart beats, the lung expands and closes. It creates a field extraction and feeding that the brain is like a pump. If you've seen those blow pumps, that's all it is. That's how our brain, without circulation of any blood vessels, receives energy. This is why when the heart stops, the brain stops, because the heart and lung, the part of the twin star, which the soul and the brain is the other. When one stops, the other one has got nothing to give, and the soul receives the confirmation of the end of the existence, and it takes a new position. Because the companion which was feeding it is not there anymore. It looks for a new dimension. This is why when we die, our souls leaves our body, because it's collaborate to change the physical energy into the energy level of the soul, which is the brain of the man, is not there anymore. Because the feeder of the brain cells, of the energy, is a pumping of the heart, which as it contracts, you have to understand, the lung and the heart are not just the liquid pumps, they are the flow of the field pumps. As they contract and they expand, they create the absorption of the energy to the brain and the soul of the man from the environment. That is for the first time man understands why we don't have any blood vessels in our brain. Where does the energy come from? We always assume it comes from the body. But the brain of the man receives its power, its energy, its existence through and only through the environment it exists. This goes back with the teaching which we done and you could understand. We said always, even if you listen to the teaching of yesterday and then interviews, he said you need calcium to be the seed of the cell of the brain. Then we explained in the previous teachings that the calcium comes from the skull. And in that process, coming from the skull of the man, it comes down according to the energy which comes from outside into the inside of the body of man from his environment. This is why we shape different. This is why we have different mentality in different part of the world, because the environmental fields in that area gives us that kind of a structure of thinking and looking. So for the first time, man understands that the energy and the construction for the structure of the brain of the man comes through its environment and not through its physical part. If you don't have contraction or reduction and increase and the filtering of the breathing from the heart, the brain will not function, because it's the twin star of the fields of the brain, of the soul. As every time your heart contracts and you hear plum plum, or you hear your breathing, it's not just a physical noise, it's the variation in the magnetic gravitational field which these create, which with it is like sucking in energy into the brain of the man and getting rid of what the brain doesn't need through the lung of the man, through the blood of the man. This is why we have no blood cells, we have no feeding cells, because a plasma takes totality from its surrounding. Maybe for the first time, those who are physicians and can understand this, can expand the knowledge of the man in the next step, that in the deep space, by absorbing energy from environment, we do not need to use the physicality to be part of it, as we choose where to be. For the first time, the world understands the true way that its soul and its emotion absorb energy from the environment of the existence. We have to rewrite all the medical books. We have to understand the totality of the work of the man is through the soul of the man, through its emotion, and in reduction and in operation to the physicality of the man. In the teachings, we have to explain more and more. Now that we have opened the door of understanding more about the operation of the emotional soul of the man, we need to understand more about the operation of our soul. The soul of the man, through the operation of the brain of the man, chosen two dimensions. One is the dimension of physicality, and one is the dimension of non-physicality. What this means, in other teachings we explain, is that as the energy of the soul radiates outwards and interacts with the filters which are created in the layers of the physical brain, then it dictates the operation of the physicality. But at the same time, part of the brain of the man has got filters, operation for the soul of the man, where while you're asleep, your body still has the soul presence, but the soul on its own is operating, seeing the mother, going to there, seeing the uncle, and whatever, and where the two interact or in touch becomes what we call a dream. The soul of the man does not stop because the physicality of the man rests. The soul of the man, 24 hours a day, like a sun shines, is in communication with every other soul which has the dimension of the physicality or not. Our soul has two operative full-time members. One is non-dimensional, one is dimensional. And sometimes the dimensional feeds the non-dimensional, and sometimes vice versa. For the two to be able to interface in a certain points of the brain of the man, there is an interaction between the physicality and the soul where other souls have access to. We recognize by you have an interaction with the soul of your mother who passed away 40 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. But they feel the strength because you always looked at the mother with the face of mother, with the touch of the mother. But one thing you forgot is the mother gave life to you. Even the other souls accepted your presence of creation. Now you always had a connection between the soul and the soul of mother as much as you had with the physicality of you and the mother. Now that the physicality is not there, souls are everlasting. So the soul exists and is in touch and it works and is continuously busy. The soul of the man works billions of times more than it does in physicality. Maybe now you understand why we have been dreaming. Our dream is the point where part of the work of the brain on the soul level and the emotional level comes to work together. This is how the soul of the mother doesn't have the arm and the leg. But because our soul has been in touch with the soul of the mother for all that time, it translates the level of the strength of that soul to mother. So in that part of interaction of your brain, which is for the interface between the physicality and the soul, you see, you hear the voice of the mother. You see the image of the mother. Is your soul which manifests through the dimension of the interaction of the brain of the man, conversion into the physicality and the voice of the mother. Our dreams are the interaction of the physicality of our souls with the others, which in our brain at a given point, as we choose, translates to the shape, the sound, the emotion, and the smell of the mother. It's very much a mobile phone. Mother rings. Is your phone which writes on mom calling, because it knows this number, this strength of the field means mother. So maybe for the first time man understands how we convert the souls into images and the sounds. It's done within a specific structure of the brain of the man. It's a specific part which is responsible for transfer of the information of the soul to physicality of the dimension of vision of the man. Then you understand the soul of the man does not need the physicality of the man to manifest itself in a dimension of physicality and realism. Then you understand when we go and when our soul separates from the physicality as it cannot feed it anymore, the souls are still in touch because they were established long before. Your soul gets nourished by the souls which have already given you life, and the position and the dimension they have chosen according to the strength you gathered. When we go into space, we see new dimensions of souls, because now we have to understand different strength of the souls, because we shall not see the physicality of it, but we feel the presence of it with our soul. Our souls converts the energy receives to entity. As we become man of space, our lifestyle totally changes, because now we feed information and life of the physicality to our brain and to our soul through our emotion. Now the position changes in deep space. Your soul become the awakening of the presence of others, conversion to the part, we call it the dream part, to give it a physical face of reality. What's in front of you, you don't see, but this is his attitude. This is what he wants. We have been doing this all from the time we existed, when our soul was created. But now, in the space of the spans of the universe, our soul becomes a communicator, and in the point of interaction of the emotion, we translate it into the shape, the color, the smell, the existence, and the intention. The role of the soul of the man in a space is the communicator between itself and others, that through certain interaction with our brain structure, part of emotion, visualization, understanding of the existence of the others. If you are wondering how we know what's in front of us, who's in front of us, but we don't see anything, now your dreams come true. Your dreams shows what you call a dream is the interaction between your soul and the other soul of the existence in different dimensions of the strength of the field, into the shape where you can interact, where you can, without talking, communicate and explain what you want, what you are prepared to give. Man has to learn the process that up to now he thought he's feeding his soul. Now he understands that the soul has always been in two-way communication. Now the soul gives you the information that you convert into the reality of understanding of existence and the entity. This is how the space technology now has to be understood by the totality of the man, because when 4 of us or 10 of us stand next to each other, we are chatting, suddenly all our souls becomes aware of existence of another being. We all talk to it, but none shall be seeing it, because we know our souls has confirmed their presence, has confirmed their intention, has confirmed the beauty of them. In the space of the universe, all our friends are not tangible and not physical. We feel them through the presence of their soul, and in our strength of conversion, in the part of our brain where it recognizes a mother talking to you and is there, we use that part of the brain of the man. It's the shape of like a 2 flat horseshoes. When you look in the MRI of the man, the brain of the man, this is where the interaction of the soul converts the information of another soul's existence. It doesn't happen when you're asleep. When you're walking 24 hours a day, your life has 2 characters. It says, oh God, the God is moving, the man is moving, his physicality, but at the same time, he's doing his business with the soul of the grandmother, with the soul of the neighbor next door who's gone there, and it's still it's partially physical, and is in pain, and says, oh, I think my neighbor need me, there's something wrong there. But in fact, the soul of the woman next door has informed your soul that I need help, and then through that interface has changed it into the face of the neighbor, the emotion of the neighbor. We have to understand the operation of our soul, because this is the next level in the existence of the man in the deep space. Because in the space of the universe, most of the time there is no physicality, but it does not mean that there is no life. Now we have to understand this. It's part of the development, it's part of the maturity of the man in the science of the universe. We relied on our eyes to see what's happening around us, our smell, our touch. Now we have to learn to rely on our soul, as the entity has no physicality, but in the dimension of our vision. But it has reality and exists in the dimension of the soul. That is why nothing is hidden from the soul, as is aware of everything which is happening around it. This is for the man to start understanding. He has to trust his emotion, because at the point of the emotion is the place of interaction between the understanding of the existence of the soul and others. If you call it, our soul becomes our sixth sense. The sense between the universe and the man. The sense between the reality of the existence in the true dimension of the existence and the physical acceptance of life by man. We smelt it, we know is mother. We kissed it, we knew is mother. Now we have a new tool. We have to nourish it and understand it. We can see the soul of the mother. Then you understand there is never an end to the life of any entity. If you understood, I promised you years ago, I shall bring the soul of Christ for you to see. Now you know how. Now the Christ will say, there is no Vatican. Let the fools play. We should create the strength of his soul, the wishes of his soul. You shall see Christ in the dimension of your own existence. Because now you know you have been taught the sense of how and where and the way you have to do it. You see, if you understand this, if you are the man of correct conduct, and the true wish is to see, understanding the work of your soul, understanding the position of your soul, you can create the telephone number of the destination. The field strength of destination. I told you many times, I shall bring for you to see the soul of Christ. Now that we abolished the Christianity, you can see the man through his soul. Now you understand why, and you have to expand and find the position of your soul that you can decide, like where I want to feel, what I want to feel, what I want to see. I want to see where my soul is. This is part of the teaching we are doing with motions. If you do not know where it is, if you can't see its operation, if now you have left the physicality and you want to recognize, even with the strength of the soul, you recognize this is the soul of my mother. Because when you leave the physicality, there is no filtering at the brain of the man. Because there is no more brain. It's the recognition of the strength which explains to you, this is the soul of my creator, I call mother. This is part of the teaching which we have to understand. This is part of the understanding of becoming man of universe. Then the soul of the man shall live for thousands of years. You are worried with 50, 60 years physicality, you rejoice thousands of years being in balance, in peace. Now many people understand why I've said many times, I'm ashamed to be in the body of the man. Has too much pain, has too much sorrow, and it's too much to carry for literally peanuts. But we need the process of conversion, otherwise the oceans of the universe shall not be filled. Man, any creature in the universe are like the drop of rain. We have to solidify that we come back, that we feed a fresh cycle to the cycle of the universal source, existence. We are all beautiful drops of rain, which collectively we fill in the ocean of the existence of the universe. We have a beautiful saying in Farsi. We say, "Qatra qatra jam shad, bangahi darya shavad," means as you collect drop by drops, then all drops one day they become an ocean. One drop does not make, but collection of drops makes a river, and collection of rivers makes the oceans. It's the same with the soul of the man. We are all drops. And collectively, when we understand, we are at peace, we make that river, and then we make the ocean of the soul of the universe. Read in the writing of Baha'u'llah in the Hidden Word, in the children's section, the explanation how pure drops, which is the soul of the children, operate. Hidden words is the structure of the operation of the soul of the man. Now, I have opened today to you another secrets of existence. Now you understand what you thought was just a soul is your another sixth finger. It's another entity which you have ignored all your life. You call it the third eye. You call it something else. The problem with us has been that we never recognize that the soul of the man is within the man. It was something somewhere. My soul is not happy. But your soul is inside you because it's the star. It's the star itself. Your brain is the transition point, and your physical body is the matter point. Without the source shall not exist the physicality. And when you come in the dimension of the soul itself without the physicality, still then the soul has a boundary of the field interaction in what it allows the others to do. So today we learned we have another senses, we call it the soul, and it's part of us. Because if we learn it, the soul is our senses with the rest of the universe. As we lose eyes, we lose smell, we lose touch. As we change, our soul always stays the same. It feels its strength and its conduct. The understanding of the existence of the soul, finding the place of your soul, is the key for the peace on this planet. Those of you who are believers of Christ, get in touch. Dial the number of Christ. He will tell you there should be no Vatican. Those of you who know the soul of Muhammad Rasul's name, dial his number. Ask your soul. Now you know what you have to do. He will tell you the Islam of today is not what I set out to be. It's the faith of peace. And now the Jews pay it to look like most criminal part of the world. And then dial Moses. He will tell you, as I did in my time creating mayhem, and I've got the others to kill, and I killed myself many, I have passed it on to look like that the Muslims are doing it. Now you understand. All three souls are ashamed of their followers. Call. Now you know you have a new mobile phone of your soul. Dial it. You shall receive it. Depends on the purity and the intention. You have to understand, no one, especially those who chose by soul, or were chosen by the soul to become the messengers of the science or of the knowledge of the emotion of the man, has ever, in the initial stages of acceptance till the physicality took over, accepted any crime. So shall be. When you can talk to the owner of the house, why do you talk to the cleaner with the name of the Pope? But his thieving is part of what the boss has brought. I put it into my pocket. The same goes with the other religions. Would you like to deal with the rat of the house, or would you like to speak to the owner of the house? Now you know. Find the place and the space of your soul within the structure of your brain. When you do, understand, always been there, I never knew. Respect it because it's you, and through it, create yourself a new way to understand your surroundings. When you go to a new country, you smell. How does this place smell? You taste the food to understand if I can exist here. Do I enjoy this food? You use your hand to touch the cloth they use because it's different than what you have at home. You register these things. Now use the finger, the sense of your soul, and start learning how you speak to the other souls, how you interact with other souls, and how you can ask directly the truth yourself from the soul. And in the conversion, what you like to call it, a dream or clarification of understanding of it, you converse with the soul of Christ, that's his name, or the beauty of the Muhammad. We have, it's my job to take you to the dimension that you hear from the owner and not the rats. And this is the key. I keep to my promise, but I have to educate you slowly that you can understand what you have learned. Go within inner yourself and you'll find out you are part of your soul. Learn to use your sixth sense, which is the soul of you, which has created you, and trust in its correct conduct because it can never do wrong. And then through it, ask for a confirmation. What I hear in the Vatican is true. The Christ shall tell you none of it. This is not what I said. This is not what I wrote. Then you can conduct yourself and you know the next step. Let your soul distance itself from what is not the reality. Any questions?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
I was expecting you, Azza. Good morning.
How are you, Mr. Keshe?
Still alive. Eric hasn't managed to kill me yet.
Okay. Mr. Keshe.
He's doing his best. Don't worry.
So, when we go to sleep, the soul is still is there. And so, like a lot of times, if I remember my dreams, it goes to places that when you remember them and you're wondering why you went to those places, what's the purpose of the soul goes to those places? Sometimes is not good places.
Maybe it's not good because it goes there till you find out it was good. You didn't take the understanding of it. Or maybe you're supposed to learn something from it. Till you don't learn your lesson, you'll pay the visit.
When I say it's not good, it means it goes to places that is so like a ruin, and then you see people are dying and stuff like this. And when you come back, you kind of you feel like, why am I in a place that all these people are killing each other, and you get stressed out. And
maybe you have to learn in that point, which is killing or whatever. You have to learn that you have to give from your soul to elevate the soul of those who are doing it. Maybe it's you who have to receive some, not to be in that position.
And another question I have is this. For example, I was thinking when we go, for example, I saw a guy was handcuffed behind somebody, I don't know if it was a soldier, behind his back, and he was kneeling down, and another guy, soldier, came in and shoot him in the head. And I was thinking, the person who is doing the shooting, if I pass by and I ask the guy, what is your logic of shooting somebody in the head just so easily? He must have a logic. And then can I judge him? Can I tell him not to do it? Where is he coming from? What is his mentality? So is this the right thing to judge the person who has a logic to do such a thing? He has a soul too, but why does he do what he did very easily?
You have to realize we see more and more of this because the feeling, as we call on the physical dimension, has the emotion of different strength. I never watch these things. I see a lot of it on face of the people. People a lot talk about it. I had what you're talking about. We know in past few days, they say, we do not know yet, they said there was a bomb which went out in Manchester. We heard about the same kind of bombing in Brussels airport, and it was all fake. Because I explained to somebody, if a bomb goes off, even if it is on a backpack, has the impact, if it can kill so many, on the structure, on the building, on the roof, on the ceiling. But we don't see anything, it's just people, and they clean it up. It doesn't happen. Any of us who has been in a real war zone, where the real bombs, especially such impact bombs, have gone off, we should see physical damage, structural damage. We don't see it. So most of these are becoming a makeup. On the other hand, when I heard yesterday morning, I received a text from Caroline, Mehran has been a bomb in Manchester last night. My son lives there. I immediately got in touch with my son. I said, are you okay? Have you been? Because I know where this bomb goes off is around the area where my son spends a lot of his time. He said, Papa, I left the place an hour before from the gym. I wrote to Caroline, second time we nearly lost a son to a bomb in Manchester. The first time when the Manchester bomb went off, if you remember it years ago, we destroyed the whole of center of Manchester. The bomb was so devastating, 1.5 kilometers, the buildings were cracked. My offices were damaged nearly 1.5 kilometers away. It was a huge bomb. That day, where the bomb went off, about 50 meters away it, or near to it, it was where, when I was away, I booked my children to go for Italian hairdresser on a Saturday morning. I knew my children are in that vicinity because I booked it. I called the police of Manchester and said, we can't tell you anything. Till 6 o'clock, my life became hell if my children are alive, because I booked them to go in that hairdresser, and the bomb is literally center of the whole thing. 6 o'clock, police of Manchester said to me, Mr. Keshe, your children are not on the list. They're safe. But the stupidity of it was, later on, nobody got harmed. There was no list. Why don't they announce that there is no injuries? Me and many people, I was sitting in Brussels, everything ready. I had everything ready to go. Many of our friends in Belgium from Manchester, we have a few, they were all worried, what about our family? They wouldn't release names. It went through hell. Those days, I was an extremely rich man. My private jet, my crew, everything on a standby. They would not let us take off to Manchester. We tried public. They wouldn't let us take off to Manchester. Why do people do these things? And then what's the reason to damage so many souls? Is it to test us? Or is there a logic behind it they do it? Or do they see the wisdom of the stupidity? You're Iranian. You know, during the Iran war, Ayatollah Khomeini made green plastic keys. I want to show you the stupidity of two religions. Two heads of religion, the craziness in their conduct. Vatican went to the Italian government, says, do you have any spare mines? Yes. Vatican paid for 9 million landmines to be given as a gift to Saddam Hussein. This is the craziness of a man, he calls himself a pope. Vatican should be stepped down, brought to dust, and burned, that nothing ever built on that land. The 9 million land bombs were given as a gift to Saddam Hussein to put across the border of Iran. You know very well. Dr. Parviz can tell you more. Another stupidity is another religious leader in the name of Ayatollah Khomeini. They made plastic keys and they gave it in the hand of the children. They said, you walk over these mines, you go to heaven. Azerbaijan, how many Iranian children walked over these mines? One religious name carries in further stupidity another religious name. Is this the name of Muhammad? Is this the name of Christ? Or is it the fear to create that we do what the heck we like? Now the division in the Iranian regime comes from those who say those who did not fight and did not go over the mine from the religious leader's family, they cannot be because they didn't get any sacrifice. They didn't sacrifice any of their own. They sent the school children. They went to the schools, got a bunch of children in the buses, and they walked them over the landmine, which was gifted by Pope. And all in the name of religion. To prove what? Christianity is more powerful. Now we finish with both of them. End of Christianity. Christ is over. Muhammad is over. Same with Moses and the rest. Because now there is one religion, is the soul of the man. So, why do you dream about somebody killing somebody? Where does the soul go? These guys at the highest level, they pay in masses. 9 million deaths. because they know each mind can kill one. 30 years after the war, still in Iran, every day we lose a child or a man or a leg and an arm from the mines which say they received a free gift, sat down, planted it without any map, and then the rains and the storm brings them down into the farms, children walk on it. Every day we lose children in Iran because of the thanks to generosity of the most heinous name, Pope. The Pope has to pop. Now you see, when we talk about the problem they're setting up in China, is nothing to them because they already have killed 9 million plus the others. Shame on the name of Christ to be used this way. Now you know why I live in Italy. I'm there to see the end of harm to humanity. Why should every day in Iran a child walk over a landmine while it's playing a game in the back of the house? From the storm of yesterday, the landmines, which was a gift from another, what I call evil place on this planet. And then another evil place puts the children on the landmine to clean the land for the soul of the man. Which soul? These things has to stop. When the man does good, receives good. Allah thought John Paul was a beautiful soul. But God knows, we have never seen so much pain in the Vatican. Don't touch my soul. I can make you cry with your soul, let alone the physicality. The mass murder which was planned by Vatican to be carried out in China, for Vatican to become the controller, is unbelievable. If I was President Xi, my anger when I heard, and I sat with my directors when he was explaining to me what his plan was, to literally abolish the whole Vatican, flatten it, that this thing will not go through. Let a bunch of gays and pedophiles bury under it, not the beautiful people of China, the rest of the world. My anger when I hear these things, these are not reports. I sit on the table across. These are the people I eat and sit with. These are decision makers. These are the true man of God with us. I should call them God. When I heard with my ears what is planned and what is to be done, I didn't make hesitation. I immediately conveyed the message to Beijing, directly to President. Name of the company, who's doing it, the way it's done, and everything else. And we see. There shall be no Pope. And that's not my wish, it's my order. Enough is enough. If you are a true Christian, called to see the soul of the Christ, believe in Him and not in the shadow of Him, which is nothing but darkness. The same with the Muhammad and the rest. Is in the writing of Baha'u'llah, bless his name. He says, the intelligence of the man at this age has reached the level of the prophet of the past, which means any of you are at the level to be able to see the soul of the Christ, bless his name, and the rest. Take your belief to the soul and not to physicality of the jail of Vatican. It means you have elevated your soul to such a level that humanity as us, as humans in the physical dimension, can see the soul of the Christ, because now for the first time you understand you have a sixth sense. You have the soul to be able to do so. Why are you happy with what I call the dirt of the earth when you can sit with the beauty of the soul of the Christ? And then ask him about the Pope and ask about the Vatican. You will go and take the stones of Vatican back to Colosseum yourself, stone by stone. Any other question?
Can I ask another question?
No?
Thank you.
Okay. It's okay. I can ask another.
I was listening to one of the old teaching you had. You said, if I tell you the truth, a lot of you will suicide. Why don't you tell us the truth? Because the people who are supposed to suicide, let them suicide. Even if I have to suicide, so be it. So we're gonna have less population to deal with.
I have spoken the truth. The ears has not heard.
Okay, so you have told the truth. So that okay. So I understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask you a question about the salts of the body.
Can you say who you are and where you're from?
Oh,
first,
sorry.
please?
This is Stephen from California.
Yes, Stephen. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I had a question about the salts. You said there was roughly 12 salts of the body.
This is what we hear by the scientists in the world of homeopathy.
And I was wondering, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me explain. What is a salt? Explain it not in a chemistry level, explain it in an energy level. What is alkaline? What is acidic?
Alkaline is a gravitation, right?
Yes.
The gravitational fields.
And acidic is magnetical.
Magnetical.
So how do you go from magnetical to gravitational? When you talk about the salt, it means it's not acidic. Because if it was acid, it would have been another side. So the salt is an intermediary for creation of alkaline level. If you look, when we work with all the CO2, zinc oxide and the rest, what you get is alkaline. So when you create salts of different strength or different mixture, does it give us the alkalineness in respect to the matter present, or does it give us acidic? So in the mixture of the body of the man, if it was acidic, it becomes the energy source. When it's alkaline, it becomes creation of physicality. When you have alkaline condition environment, which what you call the salt condition, you create the gases. You bring it down, you bring it to itself to be. Even when you produce CH3, the environment of CH3 has levels of alkalines in it. So when we talk about the 12 salts, in fact, every cell, every part of the body of the man has a different mixture salt that allows the tissue to be soft, to be hard, to be flexible. It's not just 12. This is the understanding or the way which in the path of homeopathy knowledge, the science of what I call the prophets, all the sciences are prophets of God in a way because they shared knowledge with us, that it helps us. The one who shares knowledge will advance the humanity or whatever is a messenger. So when you speak about alkalineness or acidic, you have to understand alkalineness means absorbing. So when you speak about the salt, is constructing that absorption in what shape would it stand. The ratio of the alkalineness. Then what you bring together, which kind of alkalineness environment you bring together that you can bring the matters to each other. Why do you use alkaline? Why do you use salt? Because you create a gravitational field point. In reality, every organ of you, if you look, has its own what they call salt. or its own alkalineness. Otherwise, it will not exist. In the presence of the same material, that alkalineness shows itself in the matter state of it. Our body, the only point which we use acidic, which means the radiation of the field, is in our stomach. More or less, it's the only place. One radius and the rest take from it due to the alkalineness or the salt environment they create. So understand the process, then you don't need to look for the name. And then when you look at different textures of the same thing, then you have to understand different salt environment or solidification environment. You call it saltiness, I call it solidification, has been created. Cut a liver and see the texture is all the same but slightly different places. But in it, there are pipes. So that pipe to be created needs a slightly different salt condition than the environment of the other tissues of the kidney. Then you see the gaps in it. When you look at the pipes, the hollowness of veins in the kidney, don't look at it just hollowness. Imagine inside a man what condition has to be created that creates this openness. And then the dimension of this openness decides what's going to be filtered. If you look at the kidney and the lung, it's exactly the same structure. One cleans up the air, one cleans up the blood. Otherwise, the structure is exactly the same. Look at the structure of the liver. Liver has different salts combination in every point that one can hold to the calcium, one can hold into the zinc, and one. The biggest bank of salt, what I call solidity, or keeping in the condition of the gans, is the liver. It's not just one, it's all of it. So understand the terminology. Acidity is the condition created for giving out to release. Alkalineness is absorption, gravitational. But for alkalineness, for it to gravitational, or for acidic, you need the salt condition. Even in acidic, there is a salt condition. It's not just all in alkalineness. How do you produce CH3 if there wasn't a certain amount of salt in that position? It's in the same cup. It's the ratio of the environmental fields which decides what the salt content is going to be and how. You take the copper plate, you take the zinc plate out, you're producing CO2, you put the zinc oxide, galvanized plate in, and now you get different material. Because the iron inside it has a field strength which dictates it. It's the same salinity. But there you produce energy, there you take energy away. So you can, and the dimension and the strength of the salinity dictates the tissue, what kind of tissue you create. So,
because today on the radio you mentioned a zinc nano-coated zinc plate and a non-coated zinc plate. Was that a heavier zinc oxide that would be produced if you used a magnesium salt?
Yes, you produce different zinc. Yes.
So that was the heavier zinc that you talked about, as opposed to the nano copper plate and a zinc.
No. The understanding has to be clear. When you nano coat zinc plate, you create a freer field strength that it can go further. When you have if you put two zinc plates together in the salt, yeah, the field is not free, it's a molecular. When you nanocoat one, now you freed 30, 40, 50,000 layer further than it is that you open the expansion of the fields. Now it reaches 20 meter. Before, as a molecular structure, only reached 2 meter. You understand? So when you put a nano-coated material, you expand the fields. That's all you do. So when you put a nano-coated zinc with a zinc, now you dictate, this is what I want. This is a magnetic field I want. This is what I keep on saying in all the teachings. Man, for the first time, has managed to make the magnet of any entity. This is what you are doing. You create a free plasmatic magnetic field of the zinc. Now I can pull. What does it do? It pulls from the other plate which is not nano-coated. And as it come towards it to find its balance, now in atomic molecular structure, comes in touch with the oxygen, you get zinc oxide at the bottom. Go back to all the teaching which we've done. We keep on saying, now maybe you understand. Man's knowledge now is that you can create magnet for anything. It's not that you're going to go create a magnet. Now you can free the magnet, which is the atomic structure, molecular structure, into atomic, that now the field expands. This is your magnet. And what do? The other plate has zinc on it. Now it says, come darling, I can take you. And as it comes, separates atomic by atomic with the pull of the field on this side, in the passage to the wall on the nano-coated side, it becomes in touch with this oxygen which is coming at the gas level from the upper atmosphere of the plate or the liquid. It becomes zinc oxide. It finds stability, it gets heavy. It cannot carry on. Now is something else. So it lands to the bottom. That's why you get the zinc oxide. This is what the true knowledge is. This is when I tell you, we have now the knowledge you can make magnets of anything. You just don't go and make a magnet of it. You free the plasma of it. Now it has attraction field further distance. Now if you take that CO2 or zinc oxide at the bottom of it and you put it in another container and then another zinc, now you can create the zinc which is within the atmosphere of the Earth, coming from outside the planet. If you try in United States and put a zinc nano ratio of 2:1 and say, I'm not producing anything. And then the guy in Saudi Arabia, Keshe Foundation, says, I'm producing a lot of zinc here. It's a very good system I found. Because there is no zinc in the environment of where you are. Because now when you produce GANs of plasma of the zinc, it has to come from the universe. It's the most purest. It doesn't come from the matter state. Now it's the same as the amino acid. That's what you need for your systems when you deal with the health section. Understand the process. When you want to produce the GANs of, let's say, zinc oxide, or the GANs of the zinc, and you want to use it for medical application, go back to understanding, where did the life of the man come from? From the seas. You need the salinity of the oceans. That's the time when you use seawater. The zinc oxide which you collect is the condition where your life started. It fits into your body immediately. Anytime you use it, any dynamic course, it just flicks in. Because don't forget, the oceans themselves have already converted some. You don't need when you're trying to make the GANs of the zinc oxide for the health application, don't go to your tap and don't buy still water. There is nothing in there. Then it's the pure fields you get, and what you produce at the bottom is what is available above you. It's the CO2 game. then that zinc is the pure zinc in respect to the amino acid above it, and then you produce what you're made of. But if you want to make the pure zinc oxide for the health applications, especially in the dynamic course, make your gas of CO2 or zinc oxide, ratio you decide, then to be in the environment where it carries the salts of the life, because don't forget, the waters of the lakes and waters of the oceans create life of the kidney and everything, every second of life. The feeders of the universe are part of the earth for physicality. So this is the time when you can use seawater, but don't add anything to it. Just watch what zinc you collect at the bottom. And that zinc which you collect, if it's in the environment of the place where you are, that is what you need to use in your dynamic course, because it's of the right strength. It comes from the origin of the creation where you come. Salinity is correct. The content of the physicality is correct, because in your body you have all the copper, you have magnesium, you have everything floating, but you create only zinc for neurosystem. In the water of the ocean and the sea you brought in, it's the same. It's a very near similar condition of life, but now you only emphasize, I have a magnet for zinc, I don't want anything else. And then you create a magnetic field of zinc. And if you get very little, that's all is available in that environment you are. You can take the same pot and go to Saudi Arabia, it just showers down. So it's got a better system than me. It means you never understood what you're doing. Next question.
Just one other quick question. The nanomaterial that comes off of the nano-coated copper plate, it's like a black, fluffy material. I captured that and I put it in a mason jar and let it sit, and it keeps producing a gas. Even though it's completely under liquid, it just keeps producing a gas coming from the bottom. So if I move it a little bit, gas bubbles come up, and I didn't know if that's CO2 or it's hydrogen or it's helium.
It's
Have you any? I'm sorry?
It's oxygen. When you have a copper and when you see the release of these gases, it means now at the bottom of your plate or your jar, you're producing pure copper nanomaterial. Because the CO2 gas is losing its oxygen due to a magnetic gravitational field which is created in the area. And as it releases this oxygen, now what you're left is pure copper in the nano state, in the gaseous state of nano.
And it produces that infinitely? The oxygen?
Don't forget, when you see this, you see as a little bit layer is billions of them down there, huh? Go back to avocado number 1 point. What's it? 1 point? I even forgot what avocado number is. The number of molecules per kilogram, per gram of hydrogen. 6.2 times
10 to the 23rd, 6.023 times 10 to the 23rd, something
so
like that.
When you have a gram of it, you can see how many, so you can expect how many bubbles to come up.
Because if I seal the top, it actually pressurizes the whole mason jar too.
Yes, because it's there. When you created the nanomaterial, you didn't create a nano only, you have created CO2 of it. And now, due to the layers, the gases released. This is what happens in decomposition on the planet itself. When we decompose, we explode. You know, in Italy, they put you in a coffin and they put you in a concrete block in the wall. I asked the question, what happened when you explode? It says the wall reinforced. They can take the explosion of the body. Because now we go back to nano, the gases are released.
Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Something I have to remind you, the teaching of the 6th of July will be partially be given for the memorial of Fabio. He left us that day. And we celebrate his life. Any other question?
Arthur has been waiting. He has a question about soul. Arthur, do you want to?
Hi, Mr. Keshe. My name is Arthur, and I'm from Scotland.
Oh, what a beautiful voice!
Easy, Scottish.
Where about in Scotland?
Just near Edinburgh.
My son studies at Edinburgh University.
Yeah. You've been in Scotland, yeah?
Many times.
It's nice.
Just living in England, Scotland is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
That's actually the origins of my family as well, and my father's side, the Edinburgh area.
As long as you don't go near Glasgow, it's good.
Well, Glasgow is nice. Scotland is
very nice. It's about too much. You go to Amsterdam, you get high with the smell of drugs. You go to Glasgow, you get high with the smell of alcohol. Carry on.
Yeah. So what I did basically is I did what you said, and I placed CO2, zinc, and amino acid in empty core, and I spin it with my emotion, and very beautiful field rises up. And I had a really nice experience with the field, and I had a really nice sense, and I just wanted to share this with you, And
could you enlighten us in exactly what you did and what you see? Is the rotation of the GANs visual, or is it a feeling?
No, it's a feeling. There's very minimal water in it. It's just a few drops. And I've been playing with fields for a while, for years. And then now, with your knowledge, I could expand it and test it in different ways. And it's a transparent field in my case. And it's very beautiful. And then I wanted to share this with you.
Explain to us what you do that we can understand.
Well, I could share a picture maybe, if it's possible.
Yeah, you have to go on the green, press it, and then share.
First on your desktop or on your application, and then do your share screen, push the share screen button, and then select that window. That's the best way to do it, so you don't show your whole desktop that way.
Right.
Open what you want to show us first.
Mm-hmm.
And then push the green button and share it desktop.
Okay.
Something's coming through there. You just see a blank.
Do you go to Gretna Green much?
Sorry.
I said, do you go to Gretna Green much?
A green match? What's that?
Gretna Green. Scottish.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. No, I haven't been anymore.
It's okay.
Okay.
You're sharing all your screen. Just take a picture.
Right. So select a picture there that you'd like to share.
Oh no! Did I share my old desktop?
Yeah. You need to select
You haven't seen everything.
all the pictures. So you need to, like I said,
sorry about that.
You shared just Explorer, Windows Explorer.
If you just reshare and select your screen, you select the window.
Oh.
Okay.
You share? Okay.
Okay, good. Now we see a picture, yes.
Right, okay. So, I'm starting to test my fields and my reactors. So what I did basically is I placed 2 double cores in a bag, and I spray a little bit of caustic, and I spin them with the motion, and I watch interaction between them, and I examine the fields. So what happens is it increases the production of nanomaterial. If you see here is a bare copper, and after the spinning my reactors with the motion.
What is inside the inner those 2 balls?
It's an alkaline and acidic and opposite in a other core. So what's interesting is, Mr. Keshe, the residue of copper, you see the interaction that it shares its fields. Copper shares his molecular structure with the reactors, and it's nice interaction. It's nice confirmation of fields that the reactors are alive, and the nano coating is really nice as well. It's more thicker, and as you see here, for example. What's even more interesting, the copper, those cores are glued, they solid, yeah, and then copper goes even through the inner core, so it shares everything and gives back. You can see here is a copper inside, and here as well. That's in that core. So copper, when
this looks more like CH3.
No, it's copper.
Inside?
Yeah, inside it's copper. It was like that. It was 2 reactors was like that, and brand new reactors. Yeah, I made them with the motion, and they clear reactors, and then after I spray the caustic inside, the copper in the middle share his fields with the reactors. So I know they work.
Yes, but what is interesting is that
it's in inner core as well. It's inside. It's really nice to see that.
Yes, but it's interesting to know how you get those there.
Fields.
I think maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You said you put some ganses inside the balls.
No, just water, Mr. Keshe. Just
Pure water.
Pure water, yes, pure water. And I spin them with all my good heart and all knowledge you gave us.
But you said one is alkaline and is one acidic. How did you make that? Is that your intention, or physically if we make it alkaline or acidic?
Physically, I have copper oxide, a little bit of CO2 inner core, and a little bit of CH3 on outer core.
That's why you have the coppers inside, because you actually done what Peter's done. I understand.
Yeah.
What you've done, it's actually what Peter's done. You have put the copper in between, and you have dictated what you want out of the cores. Anything in the copper level will be introduced. It'll be interesting if you take that copper coil out in your next time and change it with the zinc and see what you get in the bolts.
I still get zinc as well. If you see this picture and you see my cursor, the other experiment was with zinc, and this blue one came off from the balls as well, and this is zinc, and I had a zinc in other experiment.
Now you see, you have managed to create matter out of fields, and that's a beautiful way to.
Is it, Mr.? I think it's just sharing the fields, sharing the ionic.
In a way, you have converted energy to mass.
Maybe, yes.
That's what you do. This is another way to do it. You've done it beautifully. You have created the fields. You put the fields as an entity in the liquid. Yeah. Now you dictated I only want the copper out, so you're extracting the copper. So if you go to, this is beautiful. It's amazing how simply things can be done. And because you put a zinc oxide, you see it as those all are copper. So it shows so much copper was in that volume which you locked. Mm-hmm. And what is interesting, how you managed to bring the zinc out on the table.
Yeah. I know. Well, you see here's a little bit of zinc. It just I tried other experiment with 3 balls, maybe 3 reactors create such a kind of rotation and
This is collection of it. This is very nice. You are the second one. Show us that you have managed to convert matter, energy and matter, where you've taken the material out and you condense it. So if you take that spiral out and get yourself some cans of seawater and put it in these balls, and you put a gold ring in the middle, you start collecting gold.
No chance.
Yes, of course.
I'll test it today.
I challenge you. You're not very far from the sea in Edinburgh. North Sea has plenty of it. They took a lot of oil. It came out of gold.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned. It's really nice plate. It's really nice path. Those reactors and all this.
Come back and show us. Bring it out. It's very nice. But tell us exactly what you put in each ball that other people can do. A lot of people were going to the seaside today. We're going gold mining now.
Yes, Scotland is rich. They're rich with that.
It's rich with everything. It's a beautiful country.
Well, Mr. Keshe, the other experiment was those reactors, they have nothing in them. I made them with emotion. I know I carry zinc, so I took one reactor. It's not even nano-coated. And I put my emotion inside it. And I take another reactor and I put emulsion of CO2 inside. Another one, I did amino acid and I placed them around one bigger sphere, which is, and I can't remember is nano-coated or not, but there is salt water inside the bigger sphere. And they made this beautiful interaction. If you want to see, if I can zoom in, you will see a little bit of universe.
What's inside?
It's salt water, and it created this beautiful atmosphere.
And that's condensation.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. But it's beautiful.
If you
anyway.
look at it, it's as beautiful what you're showing. If you look at this the way you're showing it, and it's only on the top side, this is how more or less calcium drops from the brain of the man, the skull, into the brain. It's very much like this. It's amazing what you show.
It does have a brain structure almost on the convolutions like of the droplets. Zero in on that again, yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Those reactors has no guns in them or anything. I just place them between my hands and I just spin them with emotion, sometimes with the hands. Because I know I carry.
What is your background of work? What do you do? Or what's your education?
I'm from Latvia, and I'm from Latvia.
You're from where?
Latvia.
Latvia,
Latvia, yes.
You picked up a very good Scottish accent.
Oh, you pick it up very fast, and you can't get rid of it. And I can't. I wish I could speak more properly, but more I try, more I fail. Yeah, I'm from Latvia, and I'm 5 years in Scotland, and yeah.
My God, if you stay 10 years, you'll be wearing your kilt and everywhere, huh?
Oh, I'll be ginger, and I'll be.
Which tribe would you like to have the color of?
The orange is my favorite. I like color of sun a lot.
Yeah.
And well, I've been doing fields for a while, and I never really could expand my knowledge. I always had I was doing fields before in a different way.
What do you do for work? What is your work for?
Oh, not much. Manufacturing and production, Mr. Keshe, not much.
Oh, it's a lot. Without you, we don't exist. If you don't manufacture, we have nothing to use. The man should be proud in whatever he does. So, what do you transfer your field, or you feel the fields transfer?
I feel this has been a long time since I done those reactors, and it's been a long time. And what I did basically is I get really inspired by your teaching, and our bodies are in Gantt state and then in plasma state. So I carry everything, and so I just take my reactors and I put my emotion in them. What I do, I replicate. I had experience with the patch. I had experience with the health pen. So I have connection. I have the feeling of it, of the fields. Even how fields radiate from Maghreb. So I have that connection. So what I do is I just take the empty reactor and I try to replicate this feeling, this emotion. And sometimes I wish I want zinc in this reactor. Yeah. But what I actually do, I think, is I put a field emotion that I'm not sure if there's zinc or CO2 in them or amino acid. I think it's just emotion. And as you teach us, as you taught us, you can leave a field anywhere you want.
Do you want to join Arman in building a space reactor just with the field?
Why not? There's more to share, if I may. There's another one. This time I had a nano-material inside, and ping pong balls are not so good because you have to glue them, but you still can get an interaction. You still can play. You still can examine and enlighten, and then it's really really nice game to play. It's a nice path to your soul, all those little experiments. There, one flower went to one reactor, one flower went to other reactor, and one flower went up. There's other field interactions, another field game plays. You see how beautiful salt goes up and crystallizes here. Very, very nice.
Do you know how you create those salts?
I think it's field interaction.
You know, you never put down my salt in there. You put a spoon of salt, but you get about a kilo of salt over time.
You think?
Because let me add to the knowledge a little bit, please.
Yeah.
When you put salt in a gas water like this, you look at the salt, but now the salt itself works in the environment of the plasmatic condition. So it attracts any salt molecules in the environment. And our air, the breathing air, carries huge amount of salt.
Right.
This salt does not come in from the water. Now you have created a gravitational magnetic field of the salt.
That's what
it is. That's how you absorb salt into it. It can grow to 1 kilo, 2 kilos a year you can collect. I get fed up with it. But you keep, because you put in the salt water, or you put a create of the salt condition for your GANs, then now your GANs works in the plasmatic condition. And now it's like the CO2 where you create a carbon and you extract carbon from the atmosphere. Now in the container is a gravitational magnetic field in the plasma of the salt. So now you're collecting any salt which passes by gradually. If you go by the seaside and leave it open, it just becomes 1 kilo a day. It's a very beautiful way to create pure salt.
Yeah, salt is nice. I like salt.
And this salt tastes different than the other salts because it's a plasma of the salt. It has got no contamination.
All right, good to know. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
There's another one. It's nice to see interaction without no motors. You know, it just feels. Oh, there's another one. So what I did, trying to manifest some matter or some GANs. I tried GANs. So I have 4 different reactors here with different elements inside. And I knew something is not right there. And then ratios and field reactor. I wanted to examine this. And I had 4
You created matter again. In your balls, you had this material as a field, as a GANs. And now we're putting the matters like that ring and the other aluminum, whatever foil is, you're dictating this is what I want from what you have. And now you have learned how to convert energy into mass.
Well,
because you say what mass I want.
Well, these are different reactors, and this
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
With the presence of the material, you have dictated what you want. What I want, the black one dictates I want the material to be in the nano strength, and the other one says I want to be in the nano strength. These are copper, I presume, the black springs, are they?
Yeah, the copper, and it's a zinc. Here is zinc.
But there is a copper underneath there again, nano coated. So that's why you see some copper in your reddish in your in your balls. Because now the layers inside the copper near copper body, the body of the copper and nanomaterial have a saying what needs to be done. And now you get that red part. The copper is in your thinking up to.
I put this red part. This is actually CH3.
No. The elements which you have in there, the black and the copper.
Here.
So what was the content in your material?
Well, it's a zinc and copper, and it's a...
No, in your liquids.
In my liquids, in these reactors?
In the balls, yeah.
It's nanomaterial inside there. It's nano GANs, and it's just GANs. It's a dry GANs, nano GANs, and nanomaterial. In this case, and opposite here. So I have CH3 and CO2,
But are you do you see any material in the pot?
I did, Mr. Keshe. So what happened actually is, I wish so much I knew something is not right. I need something else. I need other reactor. And I wish so much. One of those balls manifested. It just jumped out of it. I think because the ratios are not there, and some of CH3 just manifested of my wish from this reactor out. I think that's what it is. That's what my soul says to me. And then it did. I wanted to really see a matter. I wanted to manifest.
When you make things like this, try to cover it up that you don't get anything external. Then nothing falls in the water as such, and then see what it gives you. Go back to the experiment you did with the ball with the copper ring in the middle.
Yeah.
And try to understand that. And if you can take a picture of it, slow motion, one a day, one every an hour or so if you have time.
Okay.
And look at the evolution of what you create.
Yeah. Examination and then absorb.
It's observation and see what happens exactly if you create. It'll be very interesting if you can put a pure water in one.
Yeah.
And the same condition, and you see my wish is to have a copper in that pure water. See if you can transfer copper into there.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've done many. I've been playing around since day one, but I never had a chance to share. And now is a good time. And can I share this one, please? I have here, what I have here is it's a reactor of gold here.
What do you mean?
A reactor of gold. Gold.
What do you mean by a reactor of gold?
I took guns of gold.
Okay.
Water, liquid plasma.
Yeah.
Place it inside and I spin it with my emotion. Here, this chap here is in a way is hydrogen, but I elevated till level of, well, I think I elevated to the level of tritium. I really wanted tritium, and I know it's possible just to elevate the state of the guns. And you can't see, but there's third reactor on other side, and it's a CH3 reactor. So I place them around the glass of salt water, and I spin them. And I try to capture something. I place a nanomaterial inside. This one was some time ago, and it was one of my first. It was my first like this. It was my first experiment, and every day I go nearby my reactors, and I give them a lot of positive emotions, a lot. I wish, and I give them a lot of attention. And after time, I see the copper star releases his atomic structure, and actually happens right away after day one. So it releases.
What's in the liquid?
Well, I'll show you something. If you see, it took me weeks, Mr. Keshe. It took me weeks to get a little material. If you see, I got a little bit of matter here, and which I think is gold. And it started form slowly, and it started to grow. It wasn't that visible at the moment. Yeah. And then later I see the bottom. I see the bottom. And the bottom started to grow as well. And the dark yellowish substance started to appear. And more it's appear, more I wish, you know. And
could that be copper, which
no.
is from your coil? What's your coil? Copper coil or is zinc coil?
It's a copper coil. No, I think. Well, maybe.
Is it pure water or salted water?
It was salt water. It's free plasma. Copper, when he releases his atomic structure, it's free plasma. It can be anything, isn't it?
Very interesting to see what you have collected.
Yeah, it's very. I tried to get it out with this. I had a sponge and I tried to take it out, but it diluted itself. It's so tiny. You can see the glass was crystal clear and it was shining. There was nothing in it. I placed in clear salt water, and I had a nice nanomaterial inside. And it took me months, 2 months, and it started to appear and started to grow, you know. And I was like, oh yes, I have gold, yes, and I wished more and appear more. And I wanted to take it out to send it to Raman spectroscopy, but it was copper everywhere, and it diluted itself. So I didn't have a lot to send it. I need actually a little bit more material.
Move it to the seaside. There's plenty in the sea.
It looks like I'm gonna do that. Scotland is like rich in this, you know. And
I have spent many times in Gretna Green and Glasgow and Edinburgh. It's a beautiful place to be.
Glasgow is beautiful, yeah.
I like your accent here. I wonder if I take you in the middle of London, you become Cockney in less than a week.
Yeah.
This is nice what you're showing.
Maybe it's copper, yeah. Maybe it's copper. Might be a copper too, yeah.
No, but it's interesting how you can transfer your emotion, because this is very important.
Yeah,
how we take from our souls and we dictate the intention of the emotion and we expect to get, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But you place it in intention in a core or in a coil. Yeah. And this is how you actually teach the deepest space technology you ever achieved. Something which we are trying to teach our students in the space technology.
Yeah, I understand.
I would say what you wish should be in your hand. So you have converted that hand to the cup or a core, and your wish is that it spins, that it gives you what you want. It's my wish, it's my command, and that's how it should be. Take it further, try to understand more.
Yeah.
And a very easy way. It doesn't cost a multi-million lab at NASA to do these things. So you have these, when you use these plastics, try to find a way to hang them from that pin. You know, most of them have a little hook on the side which you can hang them from. Try to hang them off a hook or something that there is not much in a way that you don't touch the ground. In touching the ground, you create a different field.
Yeah.
Hang it in the air and see what happens. When you put it on the ground, you create a limitation. This is a limit, that's a filtering I need.
Would a nanomaterial be good enough?
Yeah, of course, it's the best.
To manifest something, you need. Do I need nanomaterial inside the glass?
No. You can do an empty bottle and you can fill it up with what you like. You saw the salt. Understand that's the reason I brought that salt subject on.
Yeah.
There is, because the strength of the salt NaCl is so heavy, it attracts a lot of salt. So if you can create the gravitational magnetic field of the elements in the gaseous state and put it in the same cup with the salt, you'll see how much gold will drop down. Nuggets. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. Very interesting.
You have more time, Mr. Keshe. Can I share a couple more pictures?
That's how your system should be.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
as long as you don't touch the ground.
Well,
you know what to do. Well, you know what to do. The way you should have done this is to make like a little hooks that you hang this thing in the air near the cup, that they don't touch the ground or the plate.
Yeah, I can figure out. Yeah, I can do that.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you use the same container just to hang, just little hanging that the thing hangs in the air. So it's all it's as it is. It's all one unit. And when you do these test kind of things, like when you put that glass on the table, just using GANS material, wash the plate with it, or just make a nanomaterial and set the cup on a ring of nanomaterial. There is no matter state. You'll see totally different results in the experiment.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
yeah.
Show us what's this? What's this, a shower unit, is it?
That unit. Well, I try everything, Mr. Keshe. You're very rich in knowledge, and I can't thank you for your knowledge. I mean, my lack of knowledge would never allow me to expand to this level, and I feel a lot of gratitude, and thank you very much for your knowledge and for your work to humanity. And I have a couple more experiments, and then as I learn from you, I learn a lot from you, like a lot. And then I'm trying to experiment, and I'm trying to position different reactors and different plates and grow my knowledge and share with you. This is interesting. This is, I'm not sure if you see, but there is a gap between that ball and that ball.
Yeah.
I'll show you better like this. I think it is. It's like hanging in the air, if you see.
Isn't that the thickness of the, it's hanging up now?
It's
upside down.
It looks like, well, I think it is hanging. So
how come the other one is hanging?
I know. It's I think I'm not sure, but it is hanging. It's not glued. It was like a double reactor, just like I showed you in the first picture, yeah. But what I did, I put this reactor on top of my nano coating box, and I have a hose in my nano coating box, so I can pour in a hot water safely. So this time I place, and basically what I did, I placed one of the cores inside of my nano-coated bucket inside. And what happened, it melted slightly. But what happened, it lifted up the inner core. And now it looks like it's hanging in the air, like
Has it melted and stuck to it?
I thought so, in the beginning I thought it melted, but it melted only this part here. If I can show you. Here, it melted here because of the caustic, and why did I put, I don't know. I wanted to see interaction, but it melted here inside, outside. And then something happened. It's really hard to see, even with the naked eye. Is it hanging, or is it actually one small part somewhere on the other side is actually? I
think somebody is sticking to it.
Maybe it's sticking to it, but they never glued. They were free. The inner core was free, and after putting the core inside the bucket, and then the hydrogen. The hydrogen interacted with this hydrogen inside, because it's CH3 inside this one, and it gave it so much to that one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Test some more to see what you can create as you showed us in those bowls. With a copper ring. Try it. The others, go to the sea, have a swim in the North Sea, and just bring some water with you and see what you can create in the center. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. I feel so much lighter, actually. I feel really light. I've been trying to share knowledge for a year. Well, a year or so, and I feel very, very light. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything. There is something I have to announce because it's in the background and it's important. Please understand, we have seen some people, we've been told, that there are people sending emails to other people saying that if you are doing a workshop, you have to sign a contract with us. If you're selling material, you have to sign a contract with us, and they send you something in the name of Keshe Foundation. Keshe Foundation does not do these things unless it comes from a specific channel which is controlled by us. We know who we are. So as we're going to contact you for the teaching and everything, we've seen some scams going on. We think it's coming through, again, and that side. These are the people who work trying to scam the whole Keshe Foundation and his supporters in Austria. Please understand, we will not send anything out to anyone. And we have a specific way that we clarify who we are, that you know it's us. So if anybody sends you, please sign a contract that all your teachings you give 50% to Keshe Foundation. It's not from Keshe Foundation. We have never requested these kind of things. The Keshe Foundation works on a different basis altogether. That's how we are, very transparent. So they are trying to set you up and then come back and say it's a scam. That's what the foundation does. If you received anybody sending you an email with a contract that your knowledge seekers workshop or private workshops, you pay 50% to us, we do this and that, is not from us, it's a scam. Please keep away from it. And when we approach you to put your products on the shop of the Keshe Foundation, you see it on the shop of the Keshe Foundation, not somewhere else. If you don't see anything which appears on the main channels of the Keshe Foundation, it's all hoax. This is all what they call the job which is done by people in Antwerp. They planned everything very immaculately to show. We've seen a couple of works from them. They don't know what we've seen, but they thought they got away with it. But we are very well on top of everything which goes on, more or less, we hope. Do not respond to anyone unless it comes through a specific channel, which is the Keshe Foundation. With our people, they introduce themselves in a specific way, you know who we are. And so if you received any request, we were told by somebody in one of the presentation or one of the chat channels that the Keshe Foundation has sent contracts that you pay 50% of the donations from your workshop. This is all a scam, or it's a scam by the people who are trying to discredit the foundation. If you want to donate what you make out of the workshop, is your prerogative. We don't ask for anything. And if you think you can share us to make it available with the others, that's your prerogative too. So do not respond to any email who asks you to sign a contract. It's not from us. It's not from Keshe Foundation. And if they give you any accounts but the ABM Agro, you 100% know it's not them. The only place we receive donation is on the ABM Agro bank accounts. You can go on the website. They say you send the donation, sign the contract. You sign the contract, but send the donation to the ABM Agro account and nowhere else. Any other? Do we have anything from educational side, or do we have anything from the Universal Council?
See, is any representative from the educational side able to say something about that?
There is nothing, so we carry on. Are there any other questions? We're running into about 3 hours, and
there was one question that Keith had asked earlier that many people will be interested in, which is Mr. Keshe, what is the process for processing high blood pressure? And
Listen to the show yesterday. I explained it there very, very easily.
in the Sean McGuire
we
presentation.
High blood pressure, and diabetic, and how if you have a child with the problems as I explained before, with what do you call the lack of oxygen.
Right.
The process is very simple. You make yourself zinc oxide and CO2, 30 ml 3 times a day, and that is the usual normal way. It brings the blood pressure down. But make sure you take the zinc oxide lasting at night up to 60 ml. Make sure you don't drink any gas, but the water, the plasma, liquid plasma.
Keith says something about how do we produce magnesium oxide GANs. That's been discussed recently, and is that part of the high blood pressure process or no?
No, we don't use magnesium for high blood pressure.
Okay, well, you mentioned that maybe we should wrap things up here. Is that
it's about the good
what
time?
you're thinking?
Yes.
Mr. Keshe, I have one last question.
Yes, Alsa, we start with you and we finish with you.
Okay, I'm talking about zinc. I bought some zinc coil, and I was planning to nano coat it and put it. I bought a foam helmet. I was gonna make a hole in the helmet and put it there and put it on my head and put iodine on it. Maybe I can get my soul out and see what's going on. But anyway, what happened when I nano coated my zinc coil? I put it in a way that put it for a couple of days. After a couple of days, everything started to break down. And I took some of it out. I could salvage some of it. I put in a distilled water to clean it up and see if I can manage that. I mean, why they broke down? Because I should nano coat it in a different way than the copper.
I think one of the best ways to nano coat if you have delicate material is the way we've seen, and Benjamin uses it. He sprays the container like a bucket or a container glass, and then he puts the material in and seals it. The environment will nano coat the material. So if you have delicate springs or whatever materials, don't put a gas on it. You spray the inside the container or the plastic bag, as we saw with our guy in Scotland, and then you put your material in and leave it there. It'll be nano coated in a very nice way.
No liquid caustic, just a spray on it and let it sit in the plastic.
It's not on the metal, but you can spray the environment in a jar or whatever, the plastic, and just seal it and leave it, and it just gets nano coated.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And why are you laughing about get the soul out?
I think you're cutting your soul in pieces.
I mean, cut it to pieces? Okay.
You're getting it out in bits and bits.
But if it breaks out in bits and bits, can it go back again together or no?
It goes back in again because you can't hold it together. How was your trip to Iran?
It was great. I mean, I in New York, I become like a hunchback, and I don't feel good when I go there. I become a normal person again. I become 20 years younger. I don't know what the environment has to do with my physicality, but that's what it does to me.
Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you, Alsa. Any other questions, or we could call it a day? It's nearly 3 hours. I think the teaching of today is very fundamental for those of you who understand that now maybe you not only you got to find your soul, now you know it's your path to the universe and to other souls. It's something which we have not known, so we have to start educating ourselves with it. And as I say, when you start talking to each other and you understand finding your soul, and then you speak about seeing the grandma, having the dinner with grandma, and you can tell that you were drinking orange juice and I was having a Coke. And you say, yes, I had a Coke, you had orange juice. And you understand, you start communicating at the level of the souls. And then that's the passage to the universe. And then you can build the others. Start with a little, don't aim too high. Try to find a position of where your soul is within the structure of your body, which is in the center of your brain, but you have to find it. If you don't find it, how are you going to handle it? And then try to understand how you can communicate with it and how you can use it. Don't order it. It does not take order, but it's a beautiful collaborator. Those of you who are around the Keshe Foundation, I go back on it. We need a lot of support on different aspects. A number of people have come forward to offer the expertise to the foundation in different ways to do different things. Please, if you have time, we need a lot of jobs to be done to support the foundation. Contact the webmaster, and we can take all sorts of offers for programming, for loading programs up, for monitoring the all sorts of things which is happening around the foundation. Those of you, especially from China, who want to make donations to the Keshe Foundation, please go through people who you know are contact with us. They facilitate the donation, as PayPal has blocked a huge amount of the funds of the Keshe Foundation due to whatever reason we do not know. The other hand, if you're donating to the foundation, go directly to the US Keshe Foundation PayPal if you want to pay through PayPal, or go to the Keshe Foundation website to the bank in Holland. We need a lot of support now that we have committed the foundation into what we call a space center. Now, what we have seen with the space center is that a number of nations would like to have. So we have to see how we can support it, and how, as different organizations of the Keshe Foundation, build one spaceship center which carries both research, factory, health units, and offices of the foundation in each nation. We take this further in coming time. As we open the ground, you will see the pictures of it as we go to the next levels. Ghanaian and African media are covering the opening and establishment of the first spaceship lab in Africa. It has to become the joy and pride of the foundation that we have brought such a thing, such a beautiful land. Support us. We need support in a massive way, in different ways, and in a continuous way, that we can establish what we call the peace doesn't come unless we take a step forward to create it. Thank you very much for today. I hope I have shown you a path into the universal community for those of you who understood the teaching. And I hope I have shown you a path to see the man in the true shape without his physicality. My wish is peace, and my action is peaceful. Thank you very much.
Mr. Keshe, quick question, please.
Who's that?
It's Jalal from Iraq.
Yes, Mr. Jalal.
Do you think he will go without answer my question?
No, I'll answer you.
Okay, thank you. Is there a big difference between nanomaterials and GANs?
Nanomaterial is the connection of the matter still to its physical condition. A GANs is when the material is independent of any physicality. It's the soul of the element. You go from matter state, nano is the transition, and the soul, which is itself to give, is the GANs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you indeed. We'll speak with you next Thursday, and if there is any more, we'll let you know. We'll be holding a couple of meetings with other organizations, and in time, if need be, we'll announce it during the teaching of next week. Thank you indeed.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, so that'll be the end of the 173rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 25th, 2017. As always, thank you everybody for attending. And If you can volunteer, that would be great for the Keshe Foundation. There's links found on the website for that. Okay, let's end the live stream for now, and we'll end the meeting.